Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're unpacking the hilarious, dramatic, and honestly super heartwarming cultural collisions from Season 1 of the popular series ForeignerBahu. If you've ever wondered what happens when deeply ingrained family traditions just smash head-on into unapologetic modern independence, well, you're gonna love this. It is an absolutely fascinating story.
We're kicking things off with the ultimate showdown. The big question this series throws at us right out of the gate is this: can a modern ForeignnerBahu, a daughter-in-law, actually survive, let alone thrive, under the strict expectations of a traditional household? And man, the tension ramps up the exact second a young man named Dinesh brings his newlywed foreign wife, Diana, home to India. You immediately see this massive disconnect between these two main characters. Sonia, that's Dinesh's mom, is fully expecting a traditional, silent, perfectly obedient daughter-in-law who's just going to seamlessly take over all the household chores without making a peep. But Diana, she's vocal, fiercely independent, incredibly capable, and completely unfamiliar with these rigid domestic hierarchies. Sonia is literally terrified Diana's going to steal her son away, which totally sets the stage for a massive power struggle.
Which brings us to part 1, the kitchen and culture wars.
So, you know how in family dramas the kitchen is always the ultimate battlefield? Well, the battle lines here are drawn instantly. On day 1, Sanja intercepts and hides Diana's online dress delivery so she literally has nothing to wear to her own husband's welcome party, basically forcing her to stay home. So Diana decides, hey, I'll use this time to cook a traditional Indian chickpea dish, chole. But Sanja sneaks in and just dumps a massive fistful of salt into the pot. And she doesn't stop there. By day 3, Sanja invites all her gossiping friends over and pulls the exact same stunt, sabotaging Diana's freshly made gajaka halwa, a sweet carrot pudding, hoping to totally humiliate her in front of everyone.
But here is what's truly fascinating, how Diana responds. She doesn't scream, and she doesn't pick a fight. Instead, she gets incredibly clever with some culinary mechanics. First, she anticipates the sabotage. Then, she neutralizes it. For the overly salty chole, she drops in these small balls of raw dough to absorb all that extra salt. And for the halwa, knowing Sanja's going to strike again, she preemptively adds extra ground sugar before Sanja even gets to it, perfectly balancing out the salt her mother-in-law sneaks in. Finally, she serves this beautifully balanced food to the guests with a huge smile. Sanja is just completely baffled.
Diana's success here isn't just about outwitting her mother-in-law. It's anchored in this really beautiful philosophy. When Sandhya's friends are sitting there just marveling at how a foreigner could cook such amazing traditional food, Diana simply tells them, if you do any work with a true heart, you will never fail. It's a real testament to her genuine effort to adapt and love her new family, no matter what kind of hurdles get thrown her way.
Moving on to part 2, empowering other women.
Diana's genuine sincerity naturally spills over beyond just the kitchen. The series highlights a very real struggle here. In this specific traditional setup, women are often expected to just serve the household endlessly. Take a neighboring Bahu named Tara, for instance. Tara desperately wants to start her own tailoring business, but her mother-in-law, Malti, is actively crushing those dreams, insisting that a daughter-in-law's only place is doing the cleaning and cooking. The crucial pivot happens when Diana intervenes. She and her husband, Dinesh, sit down with Tara's husband and actually convince him to support his wife's ambitions. And the contrast we see is incredible. Tara goes from having absolutely no money and carrying all this deep resentment to earning her own income through tailoring. She actually becomes so successful she's able to hire her own maid, Kamla, and starts financially supporting the very household that was holding her back. It is a massive paradigm shift.
Now, predictably, Tara's mother-in-law, Malti, is furious about this change. She tries to retaliate by going to Sandhya and spreading vicious rumors, trying to break up Diona's family by claiming Diana's trying to steal Dinesh away. But Diana fiercely protects her home. She intercepts Malti and delivers this incredibly sharp reality check. She tells her, you should support your own Bahu, Tara. The betterment of your own home will follow. She's essentially telling Malti, hey, focus on empowering the women in your own home instead of trying to tear down others.
All right, part 3, winning the mother-in-law.
Diana's fierce loyalty perfectly sets the stage for the most emotional hurdle of the whole narrative, finally winning over Sandhya. Because up until this point, Sandhya still deeply resents her. The tension hits its absolute breaking point over, of all things, a sweet stray dog. The dog follows Diana home from the park, she feeds it, and decides she wants to adopt it. Sandhya, however, completely despises the dog. She's got this deep prejudice against having an animal in a home where prayers are conducted, treating the dog with the exact same disdain she initially showed Diana. In fact, she hates it so much that she secretly takes the dog out in the dead of night and abandons it way outside the village.
And this night becomes the absolute emotional turning point of the entire season. Because despite being abandoned, that loyal dog navigates its way back. At 10 p.m., it's outside barking, which Sonia just ignores. But then, around 2 a.m., a deadly, venomous snake tries to enter the house. The dog intercepts it and a brutal fight ensues. Fast forward to 6 a.m., Dinesh's father opens the door and finds the snake dead. The dog successfully saved the father-in-law's life, but tragically, it succumbed to the venom and died as well.
This tragedy absolutely shatters Sandhya. She suddenly realizes the real danger of her extreme prejudice. She is hit with this immense, crushing guilt for abandoning an innocent creature that ultimately proved to be a true protector of her family. She finally gets it. She understands that love and loyalty don't always come in the traditional packages she expected, and that is a realization that directly applies to her foreign daughter-in-law too.
Which leads to this incredibly beautiful narrative closing gesture. Sonia, wanting to make amends and show her true acceptance, surprises a grieving Diana with a brand new puppy. It's this deeply symbolic moment where Sonia is finally embracing her foreign daughter-in-law without any reservations whatsoever. She realizes that Diana's presence has brought nothing but love and protection into their home.
And finally, part 4, the price of fake modernity.
So, while Diana wins everyone over just by being her authentic self, there's this one last absolutely hilarious subplot about the steep price of fake modernity. Right as peace is finally established, Sanja's relatives, Aunt Fulin and her daughter Sweetie, arrive. They're visiting because some wealthy, city-dwelling suitors are coming to propose to Sweetie. And Fulin and Sweetie decide that to impress these rich city folks, they need to artificially act modern and mimic Diana's foreignness.
Diana explicitly tells them, just be yourselves, but they completely ignore her. Instead, we get these hilarious makeover mistakes. For 10 straight days, Sweetie obsessively applies these face packs trying to get artificially fair skin. She absolutely refuses to speak her native Hindi and opts to just memorize random broken English phrases she heard on TV, genuinely thinking this makes her look highly educated. The results? An absolute comedy of errors. When the prospective groom and his mother arrive, Sweetie greets them with this completely butchered English. When they ask her what she does, she proudly announces, "Dry it is your name what you doing, I B.A. graduate." I mean, it is a spectacular failure of communication that just leaves the suitors utterly bewildered and honestly incredibly uncomfortable. The disconnect here is painfully obvious. The boy's family rejects the proposal on the spot. They tell them straight up that they were looking for a genuine, sweet, sincere village girl with a clean heart. Instead, what they got was this fake, pretentious, and deeply confusing encounter. They literally say that Sweetie's attempt to be artificially modern ruined the entire impression. And this brilliantly ties up the core lessons of the entire story. Through all the crazy drama and comedy of ForeignerBahu, 3 things become crystal clear. First, authenticity always wins over pretense. I mean, just look at Sweetie's disastrous proposal. Second, financial independence is absolutely crucial for empowering women, like we saw with Tara's transformation. And finally, genuine kindness and sincerity can conquer even the most deeply rooted traditional prejudices, just as Diana's pure heart eventually won over her incredibly strict mother-in-law. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a provocative thought to chew on. Considering how entrenched our own habits and beliefs can be, how would you personally bridge the gap and find harmony in a major culture clash within your own home? Would you fight it with sabotage, or would you try to absorb it with a little extra sweetness? Thanks so much for joining me today. Keep learning, and I'll catch you next time.